Listen at 610 AM, 102 FM.
I listen, therefore I know.
Online at kvnutalk.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
I listen on the app.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Whole Tree Care. The Utah Debate Commission sponsored more primary debates on Thursday. The first one was for the race of the 1st Congressional District of Utah that takes in the northern part of the state, including Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties. A question had been submitted by Charlie Schill of CacheValleyDaily.com asking that with Utah in the grip of a historic drought, what can the federal government do to help short term? Here's the response from candidate Andrew Badger.
Water is critical to Utah families. I have a lot of family friends who are in the farming industry, and they're really hurting right now. Without water, we can't have a successful, vibrant agricultural market in Utah. Actually, 40% of our agriculture industry is exported abroad. This is critical for Utah's economy. And one of the issues is we're having, again, the federal government overreach and tap into our water rights reserves. That's why I would support the state's Water Rights Protection Act, where we prevent the president from unilaterally signing an executive order where he can declare these water reserves part of these national lands acts. And that's, I think, critical for keeping the federal government out of Utah.
We'll hear what the other two candidates had to say during the 1st Congressional District debate on later KVNU newscast. Meanwhile, moderator Thomas Wright reminded listeners that the Republican primary election is June 28th and active registered voters should start receiving their ballots next week. And as far as that debate, you can watch the entire debate at CacheValleyDaily.com. And in the senatorial debate, Senator Mike Lee has faced a barrage of criticism from his two Republican challengers at a Republican primary debate, Allie Isom and Becky Edwards, on Wednesday. Both attacked Lee for his lightning rod rhetoric and obstructionist reputation. They blasted him for contributing to political dysfunction in Washington and for not backing bipartisan efforts on issues such as water and infrastructure. Lee appealed to party unity and refrained from attacking either of his opponents. The three are vying for support in Utah's June 28th Republican primary. The winner will take on independent candidate Evan McMullen, who won the Democratic Party's backing in April. And a speller has been reinstated into the Scripps National Spelling Bee field after successfully appealing that he was denied relevant root information about a word. 13-year-old Surya Kapu of South Jordan, Utah, misspelled leucovorin during Wednesday night's last semifinal round. Surya's family appealed, arguing that Scripps omitted details when he asked a question about the word's roots. Scripps says in a statement its judges met for about 2 hours before reinstating Surya late Wednesday night. He was to be given a new word before last night's finalists, and if he spelled it correctly, he would have joined the 12 finalists competing for the title, but late word is he did not advance. KVNU weather, partly cloudy tonight and overnight, low around 50, mostly cloudy around 80. Tomorrow it's been to 80 today. KVNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. Work with their Cache Valley team to build a stronger, more durable, long-lasting structure for your needs today. Visit northernsteelbuilding.com or call 435-677-7300. You can always get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
They say diamonds are the way to a woman's heart, but so is a well-kept yard. Kudos to you, you edger of edges taking care of the hedges. But what about those large mature trees?
Yeah, these way up here.
A real man isn't afraid to ask for a little help. No worries. Whole Tree Care has got you covered. They trim and shape large trees and fruit trees, remove stumps and more. Let Whole Tree Care do the heavy lifting. Call 760-6587 and ask for their radio discount. 760-6587.
The local news source. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
With the arrival of spring, Cache Stormwater Coalition wants to remind us all of 5 simple things we can do to improve our local water source. Pick up and dispose of pet waste. Sweep up and remove loose grass clippings or leaves from sidewalks and hard surfaces. Sweep fertilizers or other lawn chemicals back onto the grassy areas. Wash equipment or vehicles on the grass or at your favorite local professional car wash. And properly dispose of used automotive fluids or dry up and clean up any spills or leaks. We can all make a difference if we do our part. Brought to you by the Cache Stormwater Coalition.
This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. I have been servicing, selling, and installing appliances for over 40 years. We have been a locally owned and operated family business since 1970. Daryl's offers you the most experienced service team in northern Utah and southern Idaho. Keep it simple with a one-stop appliance shop with service, sales, parts, and warranty needs all in one place. Our huge parts department has the right part when you need it. Remember, shop local for the best priced appliances and quality service in the business. Daryl's West on Airport Road.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. A special little treat for everyone there.
For last week, May the 4th.
Star Wars parody there, similar to, I don't know who did this one actually. It was on TikTok.
It was bad lip reading.
Is that from bad lip reading? Okay, I assume so, but yeah, it was bad lip reading. They take famous scenes from movies and then trying to match the movement of the lips to certain words. And they did the whole scene with Yoda and Luke in The Empire Strikes Back, the training scenes.
There's so many funny Star Wars things.
And the things they put in that match the movements of the puppet and Luke. And it's just...
That is hilarious.
I've linked to it on our Facebook page if you want to see the actual video that went with that song. But
I actually really enjoy, and this shows how juvenile I am, but I really enjoy the robot chicken Star Wars stuff.
Those are funny.
It's so funny.
The Family Guy trilogy was pretty decent too.
Was pretty funny.
The couch moving scene coming out of the garbage compactor. This is a nice sofa.
No. All right,
I'm taking this with me.
Just move it here. Okay. You know what? All right. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Hilarious.
It was like I was like, did they listen to my parents move furniture? Is that how they got this dialogue?
That's what.
Okay, just put it down. Just put it down. Just put it down. You're breaking my back here. Okay, wait. Okay. I said, wait. You're gonna crush my hand. You're gonna crush my hand.
I think my favorite part about the Family Guy, as a Robot Chicken, maybe does a better job of this. Really, I guess, but they actually sort of poke fun at some of the. I mean, let's be honest. There are some plot holes in the Star Wars movies. There's some things that if you ask too many questions, you might get frustrated. And I'm not talking about the prequels. There's plenty in the prequels. Like, why didn't he use the leg rockets before?
There's a line.
There's several scenarios in the original movie where those leg rockets would have helped R2 out.
This should be a drop, too.
You forget about them?
There's a part in the Family Guy where they do Return of the Jedi. And they get caught in that net. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
They're caught in the net. And the guy that's doing the voice of R2 goes, "Hey, guys. You remember that laser I used to free us from Jabba's palace?" And he's like, "Well, here comes a tiny saw." Yeah, it's too good.
It was honestly.
Yeah, to your point,
I shouldn't have talked and joked about the leg rockets because I get flared up and angry every time.
I saw the most uncomfortable, cringy thing.
Maybe they were taken off or something.
Someone else will probably like this and be like, "Oh, I think that's so sentimental," and it was just so cringy to me. There was some journalist, I don't know if it was a journalist or a fan. I hope it was a fan. I've got to go back and rewatch it. But it was at the premiere of, the Obi Wan series in London, I believe it was.
For all of us.
Or the week after.
Oh, okay, 2 weeks.
Maybe not. We'll double check. We'll clarify. It's either the 24th or the 27th.
Oh, yeah, so either way that would be
I think it's the 27th. Anyhow, they were talking about I don't know if they were taking questions or what, but somebody basically said, we like the prequels, which was probably like a journalist that was like 19.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of people in their 20s that do.
Yeah. And I almost called him Obi Wan. Ewan McGregor says, that's really great to know because like when we were making these, everyone hated him. And, it kind of affected us. Like we were like, he was like, I didn't want to have anything to do with Star Wars after because I was like, no way, man. Like, you're not putting me in that again. And Hayden Christensen's like, I never acted again.
Yeah. I mean, he was in that.
He's in a couple movies after.
That weird thriller.
With his
hands. Where he's paralyzed or whatever.
Yeah, with Jessica Alba.
And a couple other things, but yeah.
The best Hayden Christensen movie out there on the market.
Which is weird because he's actually not the worst part of.
No, he's not.
In fact, to be honest with you, I think some of the worst parts of the prequels, acting wise. I mean, there are a lot of problems, but some of the worst parts are the stars that actually went on.
Well,
I mean,
I don't think it's any.
How do you make Padme irritating?
We were,
she did that. She made her irritating.
We were talking about this the other day.
And her career flourished.
It's very rare. I believe what Roger Ebert said is that he doesn't really ever place the blame on the actors.
Yeah.
It's the writers and directing.
No, it was the writing, definitely. Because the directing's actually fine.
Well, go watch Shattered Glass with Hayden Christensen. Great movie. Is
that the one where he's a teen, troubled teen?
No, that's Life is a House.
Oh, okay. That's
a great one.
That was a good movie.
But no, Shattered Glass, he plays. It's a true story of a journalist that had made up all his.
Oh yeah,
it's a good one.
That was good.
And then you look at Ewan McGregor and all the movies that he's been in, aside from the prequels.
Yeah,
it's the dialogue.
Ewan McGregor, though, I don't think you can blame it all on Star Wars because Ewan McGregor is one of those actors that. No matter what he does, he's always Ewan McGregor.
He is. He's British Matt Damon.
Yeah, and that I think holds certain people back.
I will always say that.
Yeah, British Matt Damon.
British Matt Damon.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Matt Damon is only going to get Matt Damon roles. Tom Cruise.
I'm so irritated with Matt Damon. Just I'm kind of like I've been Matt Damoned. Like I've had my fill of Matt Damon over the years, these last 45 years.
Did you ever see the movie where he's the soft-spoken, mousy guy at a corporation, becomes a whistleblower?
Yeah.
Actually, that one was one where he dabbled in acting.
He's got his...
for a bit.
He's got moments.
Yeah.
My issue is, I liked him in The Martian, but whenever I want to like kind of satisfy my Matt Damon like hatred, I just go watch Interstellar. When he's that jerk astronaut later in the end, and I fast forward to the time he blows himself out into space. Then I'm like, yes. Someone out there's like, that's horrible, Andy. That is horrible, horrible. Why would you do that?
Everyone I know thinks I'm being too harsh when I say this, but same for McConaughey. Honestly, it's reached a point where I actually
Jason.
Can't stand him. I will never own a Lincoln.
You know what, Jason? I don't.
In protest.
I don't need your approval.
I will never own. Okay. I wish him all the success. He's in great movies, but I tried to watch Lincoln Lawyer because there's a series coming.
Yeah.
So I rewatched the movie just for fun, and I was a fan. I love Michael Connelly. He's the Stephen King of crime. If you want an author that writes like Stephen King with the memorable characters, great plots, Michael Connelly, and so I love those books, and I went and rewatched the movie, and I loved the movie when I saw it in theaters. I think I saw it with my mom that long ago, and I rewatched it, and I've just soured on McConaughey.
Well, you know what's going to come next, right? Is I thought Matthew McConaughey
going to run for governor of Texas
probably,
there for a while. I was a little
probably.
worried. Can we not with the celebrities in public office?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Elon Musk to run for president. That's the next one.
You know it's coming.
I call him Tech Trump because he has the kind of the same personality. He's very outspoken.
Is he really tech though? I mean, Elon Musk was just in the right place.
Dude, he made electric cars, bro,
and a tunnel. He invented a slower subway.
He made the first spaceship. I don't know if you know this.
He invented a subway that moves fewer people over a longer period of time in Las Vegas. Brilliant.
Way to go, guys.
We kind of got a little off here. I feel like we need to wind this back. We're here at Elon Musk, which was somehow tied to Matthew McConaughey, which was somehow an extension of talking about Matt Damon, which was somehow a spin-off of talking about Ewan McGregor. I'm trying to follow our conversation back here. Anyway, we started out with Star Wars. Before we wrap up this opening segment that has wandered all over the place, which is what we specialize in here on the movie show, Star Wars in the news again for a couple of different reasons. Andy, I know you'll have to wait until next week to get Andy's full review in his own words on the new Disney Plus Obi Wan Kenobi series, which premiered with 2 episodes 2 weeks ago. Then this week, a new episode. So there are 3 parts out now, 6 total planned. So it's about halfway through, with a new episode dropping every Wednesday for the next 3 weeks after this. And well, I'll just jump right to it. It's good. That's why we were talking about Star Wars and the prequels, because so everyone was really worried about this one, myself included, as a Star Wars fan, lifelong. This is the first time that we've gone back to prequel territory since episodes 1, 2, and 3. And the trailer even had clips from episode 3 with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor playing those iconic roles of Anakin Skywalker and Obi Wan Kenobi in that never before seen but imagined by every fan for decades fight scene that leads to basically Anakin Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. There were some clips from those scenes from Revenge of the Sith, episode 3 of the prequels, in the trailer for Disney Plus's Obi Wan Kenobi, and it was interesting to watch fans react to this, because it was kind of like I think, speaking for myself, but I think a lot of others as well, I think everybody wanted to be excited about this. This is Obi Wan Kenobi's story from where it leaves off in the story of episode 3. And when he pops back up in episode 4, there's 25, I think, years of things. He was busy during this time. They say that in episode 4, A New Hope, that he's been hiding in the desert, but he's also been paying close attention, and he's left at times to go do things on specific missions for the rebellion. And so the idea of telling some of those stories is just really cool to think about. But again, it takes us back to that prequel territory, and though younger generations don't hate him, original Star Wars fans, the OGs, do, for good reason, and I think it made everybody apprehensive. So I'm just going to say this, and next week, Andy, after you've seen it, we can explore this more fully. But for Star Wars fans, make time to watch this. And I'll admit, I'm saying that as a Star Wars fan who has really enjoyed almost everything. There are even parts of the prequels I really like. I do not hate episode 3, except for a couple of scenes. Episode 2, I could never see again. And episode 1, I guess you kind of have to see to appreciate episode 3. But either way, I'm not a huge prequel fan, not an extreme hater either. And I've liked everything Disney Plus has done. The Boba Fett series, the Mandalorian series, these have been fun. And sure, you could describe them as throwaway. They're not, integral to understanding the Star Wars story or appreciating the characters, but they're fun. This is, in my opinion, Obi Wan Kenobi, the 3 episodes out so far at least, are the first time that we've gone back to some of this backstory stuff since the prequels, and it is done well. I actually got chills in episode 3, which dropped just Wednesday this week, when you hear that James Earl Jones Darth Vader voice and see that mask. I won't spoil it for everyone. We knew this was coming. We knew it was going to be a part of this Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi story. I didn't expect it to come halfway through. It implies that there's going to be a lot of Darth Vader in this one, and man, do they do it right. They pull in everything that made all of these characters so iconic from that original trilogy, and they leave out everything that made the prequels so bad, and yet at the same time kind of go to these same places and go to this same era that the prequels kind of sullied for Star Wars fans. It's actually amazing, and actually a cool story regarding James Earl Jones. A lot of Star Wars fans probably know this, but he was originally not credited in the initial release of Star Wars in 1977. His name was not there. He was the voice from the start, but he was, the credit of James Earl Jones was added later in an edit, and Jones is currently 91. So hearing his voice in this third episode of Obi Wan Kenobi this week was just, I don't know, really cool. And seeing Darth Vader, it is. It's amazing. And Jones told CNN Entertainment that they asked him, do you like going back to this and you're just a voice in this series, but it's such a important voice, the voice of Darth Vader. Has it been, difficult for you to keep going back to this? Basically trying to say, do they have to offer you huge sums of money to do this, even though you're an established actor in your own right? You didn't plan to be a voice actor, and yet this is your most memorable role. Do you regret that? Do they have to twist your arm to get you to come back? And Earl said, James Earl Jones said, absolutely not. He said, this has been a pleasure to be a part of. He never expected it to go this way. And he tells a story that in the standalone movie Rogue One, he actually called them. I didn't know this. They didn't originally have dialogue for Darth Vader in Rogue One. James Earl Jones reached out and said, hey, got a free afternoon. You want me to say anything? That's really cool. He also, by the way, had done voice work for the Star Wars Rebels series. So very cool story there. And again, even if you're a Star Wars fan, see Obi Wan Kenobi. It almost in itself, in the 3 episodes that are out so far of the 6 planned, it almost makes up for the prequels. And it is really visually stunning to see. And again, episode 3 from this week, seeing that mask and hearing that Darth Vader voice in the way that they do it, just very impressed with what Disney Plus has done with this series. So, nerd moment here, I know, but for Star Wars fans, see it. It's on Disney Plus now. 3 episodes out, 3 more coming next week, the week after, and the week after that, and then it's done. No season 2 planned, at least as far as we've heard so far. So see it now. It's on Disney Plus, and I promise that's mostly the end of the nerd talk. We'll get back to what's in theaters, and since there's not a lot this week, what you can see on the streaming services this week, or what you should see. We'll talk about it all. Andy Morgan here for the For the People movie show, which continues right after this.
Your landscape should be a place to relax, entertain, and spend family time. Canyon Landscaping designs and installs livable landscapes that define space in new or existing yards. Hardscapes with retaining walls, paver and stone patios, and walkways each create privacy, interest, and purpose, plus fire pits and sitting walls to add value to any yard. Go to canyonlandscaping.com for more details, then call to schedule your free consultation. Call 752-3838 or go to canyonlandscaping.com. Canyon Landscaping. Look for the leaf.
This is the Sean Hannity Show.
They have drastically reduced the ability of our own energy companies to do their job, which is exploration and extraction of energy that we can bring into the open marketplace. He has artificially reduced the world supply. The demand has remained constant or even increased, and as a result, that's why we're paying record high amounts for a gallon of gasoline. This is how bad it is at this point.
Weekday afternoons from 1 to 4 on News Talk KVNU.
I think it's just vapor.
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as 1 pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio. We've kind of run around a bunch of different things here, Star Wars primarily. Coming up, we'll talk about one we sort of skipped over, Stephen King movie, actually. Still in theaters here in Logan. It's not a big weekend. With Top Gun last week, it's kind of the weekend off. Top Gun, by the way, knocking it out of the park with the box office and fans liking it. I'm a thumbs up. Andy's a thumbs up. Next week we'll talk about what this means. Yes, the return of the summer movie season. Top Gun seems to be signaling at least that, post-pandemic, quote-unquote, numbers still rising here in Utah the last few weeks, unfortunately. Things back to normal, maybe, and we might see some more announcements as far as releases go. So coming up, we'll talk about what is coming to the streaming services because they also have a big summer planned. But for those of you not wanting to get out to the theaters this weekend, not impressed if you've seen everything and not impressed with what's opening this week, which isn't anything a lot, streaming services got you covered. What's topping the Netflix charts this week? Stranger Things 4, obviously, is number one, which has bumped the British teen rom-com to number 2, Heartstopper, it's called. Heartstopper has actually set a Netflix record with more than a month in that most streamed show slot, which nothing has ever done before on Netflix. So Heartstopper bumped to number 2 by the release of Stranger Things 4, the planned final season of the Stranger Things series. This has also bumped Stranger Things 1, 2, and 3 seasons to the top of the Netflix streaming list. People catching up on all of those, I guess. And further down the list of things you might want to catch on Netflix. So again, Stranger Things 4, Heartstopper. No, it bumped to the number 2 spot after more than a month by Stranger Things 4. That bumped to The Lincoln Lawyer, the first season series Netflix has planned off the Michael Connelly novel that was also a Matthew McConaughey vehicle movie, which was pretty good. That has been bumped down to number 3 after sitting at number 2 after Heartstopper for a few weeks. And Ozark Season 4, this show has maintained a top slot on Netflix for not as long as Heartstopper, but just a few days less than that. In the top 10 slot, the second part of Season 4, again, the final season here as well, of Ozark, starring Jason Bateman. And then for science fiction fans, Love, Death, and Robots, Volume 3, sits in the number 5 slot on most popular streaming options on Netflix this week. So again, you've got Stranger Things 4, Heartstopper, The Lincoln Lawyer Season 1, Ozark Season 4, and Love, Death, and Robots. Most of the snippets or vignettes, if you will, in Love, Death, and Robots are animated, but it's a pretty fun watch and funny at times, too. If you're familiar with it, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, maybe give it a try. On the other side, we'll talk a little bit about, go back to the theaters, what you can see this weekend that's been out for a bit, what you should absolutely avoid if you're catching up on movies, all of that right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Utah's coronavirus surge, which state health department officials say is driven by Omicron subvariants, appears poised to continue for several weeks. Research from South Africa indicates the BA4 and BA5 strains carry mutations and are not affected by the barrier of previous vaccinations or infections. The state's weekly Thursday COVID-19 report shows in the last 7 days, Utah's daily average of new cases grew from 802 to 819. More than 5,700 new cases were reported the last 7 days. Health Department officials are concerned about increasing numbers in statewide hospitalizations and emergency room visits. Since the start of the pandemic, almost 35,000 Utahns have been hospitalized, including 175 more the last week. As of Thursday, there were 137 COVID patients in hospitals, 33 more than last week, and 18 of them were in ICUs. Over the past week, the state reported 4 new COVID deaths, all men between 65 and 84 years of age. Utahns totally vaccinated, almost 2.1 million, account for over 62% of the state's population. About 30% have received a booster. The weekly update of COVID numbers from Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties indicates 247 deaths over the course of the pandemic in the Bear River Health District, while there have been 2,072 hospitalizations and over 52,000 positive cases. A ban on transgender athletes playing on girls' sports teams is being challenged in court in Utah, one of more than a dozen states that have passed similar bans over the last 2 years. 2 anonymous families who sued Tuesday said the ban wrongly keeps their children from playing the sports they love with their friends. Similar suits have been filed in states like Idaho, West Virginia, and Indiana. Utah's ban is part of a wave of similar legislation in state houses around the country. Supporters say transgender athletes can have a physical advantage in girls' sports. Still, there have been almost no cases of potential competitive advantages in K-12 sports in states passing bans, including Utah. And Idaho State assistant football coach Devontae Neal has been arrested on suspicion of killing a man in Arizona. Pocatello police say Neal is charged with first-degree murder, drive-by shooting, and discharging a firearm at a structure in the 2017 death of Brian Burns. Neal was indicted by a grand jury in Maricopa County, Arizona on May 16th. A warrant for his arrest was issued shortly after. Neal is being held without bail at the Bannock County Jail in Pocatello, awaiting extradition to Arizona. Idaho State University officials say they intend to terminate his contract. Neal played college football at the University of Arizona. KBNU weather brought to you by Roof Rescue. They give you watertight peace of mind. RoofRescueUSA.com is their website. That's Roof Rescue. KBNU weather, partly cloudy tonight, low around 50, and then cloudy around 80 tomorrow. Slight chance of a shower Sunday. It's been to 81 today. For the latest news, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
When you struggle with low thyroid or autoimmune challenges, everyday activities can be hard to enjoy. Get more out of life with Red River Health and Wellness. Founded by Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, Red River Health and Wellness is committed to your well-being. With a focus on non-pharmaceutical practices, they help patients manage autoimmune and thyroid conditions, including Hashimoto disease. Improve your quality of life. Call Red River Health and Wellness today, 855-55-RIVER, with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Inflation at record highs, American-made energy under attack, and our enemies growing stronger. President Biden's weak leadership is allowing Nancy Pelosi and the radical left to jeopardize America's security and put our future at risk. That's why conservative Blake Moore is fighting back against President Biden, Pelosi, and the radical left to create a better future for our nation. In Congress, Blake Moore is working to lower inflation for Utah families by reducing debt, creating jobs, and growing the economy. To better secure and protect American-made energy, Blake Moore is working to increase domestic production, helping America return to energy independence. And as a former Foreign Service officer, Blake Moore knows that by strengthening American military might, we can better protect Americans. It's time to fight back against the radical left for a better American future. Support conservative Blake Moore for Congress.
I'm Blake Moore, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Moore for Congress.
Looking for ways to serve but don't know where to begin? Go to justserve.org, a free site to help those who want to serve find opportunities nearby. Just Serve has teamed up with organizations nationwide. Go to justserve.org and type in your city, and you'll see a list of service opportunities. Sign up on Just Serve to receive emails letting you know about new projects. Just Serve is fast, free, and easy. JustServe.org is provided as a service by The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 in the morning, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the For the People movie show. Andy Morgan of AndyAtTheMovies.com joining us here in the studio. We'll be talking Doctor Strange 2. We didn't get a chance to talk about that last week. Andy hadn't had a chance to see it yet. He's seen it, and I'm not going to... I'll spoil it a little bit. I think we might be about to hear Andy say Marvel had its first flop. And also one that we'd kind of skipped over, because it probably warranted skipping over, right, Andy? The reboot, or remake, rather, of Stephen King's Firestarter, originally a somewhat popular movie in the 80s, starring a very young Drew Barrymore, getting the 2022 treatment, whether we needed it, wanted it, or not. This is not to say that the book isn't good, but this is one of... King has a few throwaways when it comes to his collection, and this is one of them. It's not bad, but it's, yeah. Anyway, just a bit from the trailer here.
Okay, Charlie? It happened again.
What happened?
The bad thing.
If you ever start to lose control, what do you do?
It didn't work.
She's not a robot, Annie. She's a little girl with little girl emotions, which are wildly unpredictable.
Charlie?
She just has to shove it down and keep it hidden.
Our responsibility is getting her ready.
Our responsibility is to protect her.
Charlie?
If they catch her, they're going to put her in a cage.
Charlie?
They're going to run tests on her for the rest of her life. We'll never see her again.
If who catches me?
Firestarter in theaters here in Logan. And again, based on, I saw a joke that was cracked on Twitter by a critic that said this is a movie that was based on the movie that was loosely based on the book.
This is one of the books that Stephen King wrote in the early 80s where he doesn't remember writing it.
he said that, right?
It's up there with Cujo. Like he was so...
He had alcohol
problems, drug problems.
Cocaine,
Yeah, he just was... He said, I wish I remembered writing Cujo.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, and this was the thing, too, because remember back then you had, The Shining. I mean, Hollywood does this, and I'll use Hollywood as just the general term, but you get The Shining that comes out and everyone goes, ooh, that's scary. And then they're like, well, what's next, Steven? And he's like, how about Carrie? And Brian De Palma's like, you bet. And everyone's like, man, that's good. That's good stuff. And then what happens?
Like, what's next?
Yeah, then they're like, how about Salem's Lot? And everyone goes, yee. No, they put it out because they're like, dude, everything this guy writes is like gold.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't.
And then the next year, so it's a haunted car.
Well, you have. Oh yeah.
Which actually, honestly,
Christine?
Christine, I think, is one of when you talk about classic '80s horror movies. everyone always mentions, the Friday the 13th, Halloween, for Nightmare on Elm Street. Christine should be in that list. It's a classic. It's campy, but it's a classic.
What I like about King is he doesn't.
The book is actually excellent, by the way.
Yeah, he writes for himself. I mean, he obviously is writing to an audience, but he's said this on multiple occasions. He thinks if he likes it, he's just going to write it. He doesn't really care, right?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you don't like it. You're just not going to win them all. And I think what's great about it is you do get these. There are some that are maybe less popular, but you get these ones that just pop up, and you're like, where? For instance, like Pet Sematary, or you come up with something like It.
Yeah.
But I will say that I have enjoyed, and this is going to sound morbid, so just bear with me for a minute. But I have enjoyed post-accident Stephen King more than I did pre-accident Stephen King.
Yeah.
He even says that, there's a couple books like in the early 90s, like Rose Madder and, Dolores Claiborne.
Rose Madder is the only Stephen King book I didn't finish.
Yeah, he said there's two.
And not because it was bad. I just didn't care. I got halfway through and thought,
No, that one
care.
and Insomnia, he said,
Insomnia
I was
bad.
trying so hard. And what he was trying to do was do something that is not really... Because here's the thing. Stephen King is a great writer, and he's great because he knows... the language just kind of comes out, and he knows how people talk. He's just got he's got a flair to his prose. It's not literature.
He has themes that come up again and again, but he's able to keep them. Because if you think about it, Firestarter, The Stand, I can't remember others, but he has several books that are based on government experiments gone awry, and that's Firestarter. That's The Flu from The Stand, and then these themes of childhood and adolescence and the struggles of teens and children as they grow, and those pop up again and again in his books. And,
what's funny is about that,
and he makes it work.
What he said. Have you read his book On Writing?
Yeah,
he does this confession later. He says he doesn't sit down and map anything out.
No,
it's organic for him. So he sits down, he starts a story, and whatever the story ends at is where it ends. And he says, as he's writing it, he's not like, what I should do here is I should center the theme around, man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, he said that if there are themes in his novels, it's because it's something he thinks about.
Well, he said later on...
And he had a traumatic adolescence.
He did.
His best friend was run over by a train right in front of him. His mom died very young. And I would guess that's why you see these themes of... children grappling with adult things that they shouldn't have to deal with in his books often.
I think that's something that is important to him.
It's timeless, though, because I was thinking about this. You mentioned, we were talking about Christine. One of the movie's just a good campy horror movie, but the book is actually one of my favorites of his. But it deals with these same themes that are timeless. And right now, for 8 days in a row, the top viewed new thing on Netflix is this Heartstopper series, which is a teen comedy, drama, romance kind of thing. But those themes never get old.
Yeah.
You can always make a movie, write a book about what teens are grappling with, and people will buy it and read it. And Firestarter, though,
I'm not sure what they tried to do here.
They didn't work.
No. So let me give you folks a free tip here, so you don't waste your money at the theater, because you should not go see this in the theater. I'm sorry.
It's rare that you say don't go see it.
It's just terrible. There's literally nothing redeeming about it at all.
Really?
Not even if you have Zac Efron posters on your wall. Also, how old are we that Zac Efron plays a dad in a movie now?
Yeah.
That was another thing.
Is kind of,
I was like,
kind of punch in the gut for our generation. Huh?
It really was. Wasn't this guy just dancing? And anyway.
High School Musical.
Yeah, right.
401k.
That's right. That's right. It's coming next. But what I thought was really interesting about Zach, this is they're taking, again, your point. That's a great quip. Is it's a remake of a movie in the 80s that was loosely based off a Stephen King novel. Here's the thing, though.
It's
80s
the movie
version
that got, I forget her name now.
Drew Barrymore.
It got Drew Barrymore the role in E.T.
Well, this actually came after E.T.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
I thought it was the opposite.
This is what I guarantee.
Oh,
this
sad.
This is what happened.
Sorry, Drew.
There was E.T. and then some guy was home and he was reading a Stephen King novel, and he was like, I got it. And the next morning he ran into the boardroom and they were like, Bill, what's going on? And he says, Drew Barrymore, hot ticket in town. Everybody likes a crying child. Stephen King novel, Firestarter. Let's put them together. And they were like, "You, sir, are going places."
Yeah,
and then
it,
he didn't.
Wasn't Brian Dennehy in that
No,
too?
so you've got no. So,
the guy that looks a lot like
It's funny
him.
you say that because Keith David, or not? It's not even. It's David Keith. Keith David is a different person. That's actually a black man.
Yeah, I'd know if it was. I wouldn't confuse him with Brian Dennehy at all.
I got some mistakes here. I'm sorry, audience. I've been handed some bad information here. Anyway, but no, let me read this cast, okay? This is like a who's who of 80s actors.
From the original?
Yeah.
This was 1983?
1984.
84, okay.
E.T. was 81, I think.
Okay.
So you got David Keith, not Keith David, as we've heretofore already named. Now, David Keith, people might be like, well, I don't know who that is, Andy. If you saw An Officer and a Gentleman, he was the Richard Gere's buddy, the guy that ends up hanging himself in the bathroom.
Spoiler alert.
Aw, sorry, guys. Too bad.
It's 45 years old. If you haven't seen it.
Tough beans. Drew Barrymore, obviously, we know her from E.T. And then it had Heather Locklear as she played the mom. And then
I don't remember that.
Listen to these three names. These are going to make you go, well, this is like a who's who.
None of these names are Brian
Martin
Dennehy.
Sheen.
Really?
Martin Sheen.
I don't remember that.
George C. Scott played the assassin. George
I do
C.
remember
Scott,
that.
of all people. And then Art Carney was the kind old farm owner, right? And if everybody knows, the plot here really is that, so in this version, the only two names that you're going to know or recognize, there's maybe three people, if you got a keen eye. The two, obviously, well, let me scroll that back. There's one person you'll recognize. There's maybe one you'll go, did she used to be on ER?
Looks familiar.
And then that's it. But it's Zac Efron. So what they've done here is, the plot is you've got these husband and wife that they were in college. And this is the movie plot, by the way. They signed up for some FDA trials, and it ended up being, that sneaky government was like, hey, we're going to put some 5G antennas in your brain. Anyway, what ended up happening is they started getting some psychic gifts. So, like, the mom can kind of read thoughts.
Yeah.
And saying how to see the future. And the dad can actually influence people to do things, right?
And that's true to the book and the original movie, right? Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny. They call it, he calls it the push in the movie, and there was actually a movie earlier in the 2000s with Chris Evans called Push. Anyhow, in the 80s version, same as in this version, except the 80s has better actors. So if you want to watch Firestarter, if you have Peacock, you can see it on Peacock. It's playing, or go and watch the 84 version. Do not go to the theater. Do not pay for this. You will regret every minute.
I would also suggest the 84 just for the special
Campiness.
Effects are hilarious.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be frightening, but
no, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, they have this kid, and as things would happen when you're two psychic folks meet together and have a baby, the baby is like, hey, I got some skills too, and what I can do is light things on fire and do the things that you do.
It's like The Incredibles.
But
really, not Pixar.
No. And here's when I knew the movie went off the rails.
Was it Michael Grey Eyes? Is that when you knew?
No.
Horrible actor.
No. What happens is there's a scene. First off, and you know what? I don't even care, right? Because if you go see this, you deserve to be. You have everything ruined for you.
Don't blame me. I warned you.
The spoiler alert, if you really care, which I hope you don't. The mom dies like the first, 25% of the movie. She dies like in the first 20 minutes. Anyhow,
also true to the book.
Yeah, and these guys, it's just like they're like, it's okay. Like they're kind of sad when they're pulling out, and then they're like, let's get some ice cream.
Really?
And I was like, wait, what's going on here? And then the daughter, she's in this alley, and I feel like there should be trauma warnings for stuff like this. But the daughter's in the alley, the girl that has the fire starter powers, and she sees this cat. And she's like, oh, hey, kitty. And the cat scratches her. And then she's like, rah! And shoots out fire and just like nukes the cat, right? And then the cat's just laying there,
Why?
like burning fur, going basically like that. And the dad's like, well, now you've got Zac Efron's like, well, I would sing a High School Musical song here, but I think you need to put the cat out of its misery. And that's essentially. And
he makes her finish it?
Yes.
Wow.
And this is like a 3 or 4 minute scene, and I'm sitting there going, this is an hour and 34-minute movie, and we spent 4 minutes killing a cat? Like, okay. It's so ridiculous. It's an hour and 30 minutes. I don't know what they were thinking about doing. I read not James Cameron. John Carpenter did the score for this because
that's the only redeeming thing I've heard so far.
And it's not even that redeeming.
Oh.
And Blumhouse is he's doing his 2-note. He's like, hey guys, Halloween is this. And he's like, what if I go over here 2 keys down and go ba 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 ba? It just. He's
Same
like,
thing.
Yeah. They're like, James, that sounds a lot like Halloween. He's like, nah, I think you're wrong.
No.
Do you know any chords? Nope.
The review is in. Don't go see Stephen King's Firestarter, the remake. It is still in theaters here in Logan. It is, if you want to see something scary, unfortunately, it is the only scary one in theaters right now. There's some great stuff on Netflix, though. Maybe tune yourself there. Speaking of that, we'll wrap up today's show, Andy and I running through the latest on the streaming services, what you can see if you're not planning on heading to the theater this weekend. That's next here on the For the People Movie Show.
Preston Golf and Country Club is taking registration for their summer program. There are multiple options available depending on skill level, age, and commitment. Parents may find all the information about the program on the Preston Junior Golf Program Facebook page. You may also register your youth through that page and then pay the first day. The summer-long program runs every Wednesday for 8 weeks starting June 8. Individual and small group lessons are also available upon request. Ladies' clinics start on June 5th and run throughout July and August every Wednesday night at 5:30. For more information, call 208-852-2408.
Summer is just around the corner. Don't crank up your AC unit before getting it serviced. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning is the team you should call for quality on-time service. If your system needs replaced, think York. York has the best warranties in the business with affordable financing options. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 752-7272 or stop by their showroom west of DI. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
Comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
You want to feel important. You want to be a part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things. You want to feel like you belong. We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it. We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers. We are normal people just like you. And together, we can make a difference. Take on your legacy. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Sponsored by the Utah Army National Guard. Aired by the Utah Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. The latest in the search for answers and solutions regarding this surge in mass shootings. Also, the latest group of Americans set to feel the sting of rapidly rising interest rates. Students get set for a bump in rates on new federal loans. And as COVID cases rise, last-minute cancellations without guilts are the new normal. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news, weather, and sports.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terrence Howard. Colorectal cancer is the second leading cancer killer, but you can prevent this disease. If you're 50 or older, get screened. Please, do everything that you can to stay around for yourself and for your family. Screening saves lives.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you for tuning in today. That is our time for this week's For the People movie show. We'll be back next week live in studio Andy Morgan, at that point, will have 2 weeks of box office data on Top Gun Maverick. The reason we're watching this one is this is the real test on summer movie season. Is it back post-pandemic, quote-unquote post-pandemic? We'll see. Top Gun seems to be this week saying yes. If that holds up in the next week, Andy says summer movie season is back, and we can expect some announcements from films that the studios have been sitting on maybe for the summer movie season. That's next week on the For the People movie show. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.